What's going on, everybody? It's EricRayweather back here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about all of the changes coming to franchise and CFM in Madden 19. So EA just released the entire deep dive blog. There's a lot of new stuff here coming to franchise mode. There's still some stuff that's missing, and we'll talk about that at the end of the video. But I do think from looking at this that this is one of the bigger updates that franchise mode has gotten in the past few years. So I'm sure people will be pretty happy with this. Like I said, there are still some things missing, but we'll touch on that later. So let's jump right into it. Player archetype system. We already know a little bit about this, but let's read what EA wrote. Madden NFL 19 introduces a new way to progress and classify your players in franchise with the archetype progression system. Each position is now broken up into 2 to 4 styles used to grade the player. For example, the quarterback position now has 4 styles: Field General, Scrambler, Strong Arm, and West Coast. Matt Ryan may be an 88 overall West Coast, but only a 78 overall Scrambler. On the other hand, Deshaun Watson may be an 82 overall Scrambler, but only a 79 overall West Coast. These archetype overalls make it easy to evaluate a player's strengths and weaknesses. So going further along with that, we talk about the skill points. Earn skill points by acquiring enough XP for a player to level up. XP is earned during gameplay, training, awards, and more. Once you've earned a skill point, spend it on one of the player archetypes to upgrade that overall for that archetype by a full point. So, for example, I got to mess around with this a couple months back, and it is a really easier upgrading system. So like you see here, Stephon Diggs on the screen. He is a deep threat wide receiver. That is his archetype. So if he gets a skill point and you want to take him up one full overall, you see what happens here. He gets his agility +1, his catching traffic +2, his deep route running +2, his jumping +1, his release +1. Now, this doesn't mean that these are the individual stats that'll be upgraded every time you upgrade him. There's basically a bunch of random ratings that apply to your archetype, right? So if you were to upgrade a deep threat wide receiver, he's not gonna necessarily get the same attribute boost as a short route running wide receiver would, right? Like a guy that's better in the short field, it would boost his short route running, or it would boost his, some of the same attributes would be boosted, but different archetypes have different stats that are allowed to be boosted. So you want to go up a full overall, it's going to pull from a bucket of available stats, and it might pick 4, 5, 6 random stats, and +1 some of them, +2 some of them, and that pulls you a full overall point. So instead of just saying, okay, I have a bunch of these points and I want to just upgrade all of my speed or upgrade all of my route running, it doesn't do that anymore. You upgrade the archetype by a full overall, and it's going to randomly upgrade a bunch of ratings that make sense for that archetype. It's a lot easier to upgrade, in my opinion. I don't know how franchise guys are going to feel about that. Me playing it, I found it to be very easy and just kind of a less stressful way to upgrade players, but that's just my opinion. So moving along, the decision you make with the progression system are powerful. Instead of just going up one rating at a time, your players' progression a full overall each upgrade. It's a dynamic system that ensures players progress in unique ways while giving control over the player's total progression path. So here you see the archetypes per position on the screen. You've got a bunch for each position, pretty much 4 for most positions. Kind of an inside tip from playing the game. The things that are kind of glitchy with this, in my opinion, are like cornerback. If you have a slot cornerback archetype, it kind of seems to give him more balanced upgrades. Like it'll upgrade his man and his zone every time he goes up a full overall point. Whereas if you have a man-to-man cornerback, it's only going to really upgrade his man. Or if you have a zone, it's only going to really upgrade his zone. But slot, you're going to kind of get the best of both worlds. Same with safety. Hybrid safety, you kind of get the best of both worlds when you upgrade them with the XP. You get some zone advantages and also some run support advantages. So kind of just those are things to think about when maybe you're drafting or picking up free agents in franchise mode this year. At least that's what I found when I was playing the game. So moving forward, coach scheme fits. Your coach scheme matters more this year. Thanks to the scheme fits feature, build your team with players that match your scheme and they will develop faster, giving you more success on the field. Start by choosing an offensive and defensive scheme. To make your decision easier, scroll through the available schemes to see how many players on your roster are a scheme fit. Each scheme looks for a specific player archetype for each position. For example, the West Coast zone run scheme looks for agile offensive linemen. All offensive linemen that are agile will have a puzzle piece scheme fit icon denoting they're a match. This helps you find the players that best fit your team. The scheme fit icon is visible in free agent bidding, trading, scouting, drafting, and more. So here you see on the screen, you see that there's Kyle Shanahan's on the screen, and they're kind of scrolling through the schemes. You see West Coast zone run. It says that his roster is a 79% fit for that scheme. But if you keep scrolling, he may have, there may be another scheme that's a 85% match. So it makes it easier for you to know which scheme makes sense for your team, and the scheme is really just determines how easy it's going to be to upgrade your players. And of course, you can change your scheme at any time, depending on, you might have a number one overall draft pick and draft somebody like a quarterback that doesn't fit your current scheme, so you may want to change your scheme because you want them to fit your new franchise player. So you have full control of that. Here's the list of offensive and defensive schemes in the game. I don't think the schemes change. I think these are the same schemes that were already in the game, but the difference is that they now actually matter in how you upgrade players. So it doesn't mean like, oh, just because you call this scheme, you have to like actually play a certain way in the game, but it just kind of links with how you're able to upgrade your players and the type of players that you draft for your team. So that's kind of cool in my opinion. Draft Class Creator. This is a huge addition. The #1 requested feature by the community is here. Get ready to create and share draft classes using Madden Share. When scouting starts in week 3 of the regular season, you will be prompted to either use an auto-generated class, download a class, or import a locally saved class. Download and import anytime scouting is available, even if it's later in the season. Creating and sharing a draft class is easy. Start with auto-generated class and edit as much as little as you want. You can select each player and edit his player info, appearance, equipment, ratings, and player traits. So you can literally create the entire draft class that's coming into the NFL this year. There's definitely going to be people that create these classes and upload them, so most of you won't have to actually worry about doing this yourself. You can just wait, probably a few days, and then you can go download one off of the community files, and you'll be ready to go. So moving along, we have depth chart positions, another great addition to the game. Your team now has a specialist section with 7 depth chart positions. These positions ensure that the right players are on the field in the right situations. Nickel and dime defenses now use rush left end, rush defensive tackle, rush right end, sub linebacker, and slot cornerback positions. These players are best for downs when the offense is likely to be throwing the ball. For rush defensive tackle, rush left end, and rush right end, this means that the run stoppers are leaving the field and the pass rushers are stepping in. The CPU won't put in a player that has low pass rush moves in this position. For sub linebacker, the best coverage linebacker will fill this spot. Your slot cornerback will be the best players on your team using the slot corner overall, but will not fill with the cornerback 1, cornerback 2, free safety 1, and strong safety 1 unless their archetype is slot corner. The slot wide receiver depth chart position will be the best players on your team using the slot wide receiver overall. It will not be wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, tight end 1, or halfback 1 unless their archetype is slot receiver. This will ensure that players like Danny Amendola are used in the slot, but guys that are better on the outside will stay outside. Power halfback is used in goal line formations and other heavy sets as your running back. He will be the best player on your team to tote the rock between the tackles using the new power back overall. If you have an elusive back as your best halfback and you want to keep him in on goal line formations, just swap him into the power halfback starting position. You have the control. So just because you have a power backing, maybe you don't want to use him on the goal line. Maybe you still want to use a LaShawn McCoy type on the goal line because he's still that good. Just make sure that on your depth chart you have LaShawn McCoy in your power halfback position. You still have control who goes onto the field. This is just an easier way to do it. Third down running back now uses the new receiving back overall. Your third down running back will come in on third down for many formations. Some playbooks even have your third down running back come in on shotgun formations for other downs too. So you have all these new ways to incorporate players. You have your slot cornerbacks, you have your slot wide receivers. You control fully who comes into the game on what down instead of having to manually sub them in on each down. You can set this in your depth chart and it'll automatically happen for you. That to me sounds like an amazing add. That affects the whole game, like even players that just play online. So that's something I'm excited about. Player ratings. 11 fresh ratings have been added to help differentiate players and bring life to the archetype system. For example, the new run block finesse and pass block finesse ratings will be featured on agile linemen. Meanwhile, power linemen will rely on the new run block power and pass block power ratings. So here you see all the new ratings in the game. We have break tackle, break sack, throw under pressure, run block power, run block finesse, lead block, pass block power, pass block finesse, and the main ones that I think are going to make a difference are the new route running. So we have short route running, medium route running, and deep route running. So short route running is used when running short routes, obviously slants, drags. Medium route running is used for curls and digs. Deep route running is used for corners, streaks, posts, things like that. So A guy like Edelman, for example, Julian Edelman, his short route running is going to be phenomenal. He might have a 96 short route running, but his deep route running might only be an 80 because he's more of a short route guy. So it just, just gives you more control of who you put on your team, knowing that, okay, I need to keep this wide receiver on short routes because that's where he excels, whereas this guy's a deep threat. He's a deep route guy. If I put him on post, he's going to get more separation, whereas last year you just had a single overall route running, and that route running meant you would break ankles on an in route, a drag, a post, a corner. It didn't matter. Now it matters. If a receiver is not good at running deep routes, he's not going to have good deep route running. So you're going to want to make sure on your post routes and your corner routes, you have the right guy plugged into there. Moving along, immersive environments. We're unleashing the power of Frostbite in franchise with the addition of immersive environments. While playing as a coach or owner, you'll be exploring your coach's office. If your coach has won a Super Bowl, you'll see a Lombardi trophy on the shelf. Head to the locker room environment to interact with your players. And they show Dan Quinn here, and isn't that a shame? There is no trophy on his shelf. Isn't that a shame? Poor Falcons. Anyway, moving along. If you're a player, you will see your player in the locker room as he prepares for the next game. Moving along from there, we have the addition to this is you'll experience the NFL draft in Madden in a brand new way. The draft stage presents which team is on the clock and who the previous pick was on the giant video board in front of the crowd. When it's time to make your pick, your draftee will be sporting his new uniform while his ratings and development traits are revealed. So nothing crazy there, but just a little, I guess, cosmetic bump to the NFL draft to make it, a little bit easier to watch, a little bit, less boring. These amazing environments deliver an immersive experience in franchise while you build your ultimate dynasty. Now we have something called snapshots. We want you to live in your franchise and want to help you tell the stories of each game. We're doing this by displaying some of the top moments from each game as snapshots. You can take snapshots from instant replay and in the highlight screen, and then these snapshots will be automatically recorded for key moments for the game. These moments are integrated throughout franchise as a part of your immersive environments in the hub and in news stories. View full-screen snapshots from your games or from other users in your league by visiting the Snapshot Gallery. The Snapshot Gallery holds the last 100 snapshots from the league. If you're in CFM or even if you're in random franchise, it'll show snapshots and highlights from your, previous games. So I guess that's pretty cool. Team captains. So this is another thing people really want to address. To address another top community request, team captains can now be added and removed from the roster. You can add up to 6 captains per team. The captain's patch will appear in-game on the player's uniform. Each star denotes how long they've been a captain. Not all teams allow for the stars to be shown on uniform, but all captains will have a star icon visible on the field. This feature will let you quickly identify the top players on the opposing team. Moving along to regression. At the end of each season, players regress based on their age and development trait. This year, the regression is much more dynamic, meaning that each rating will have a unique chance of going down. High development trait players regress slower than other players, and the age at which players at different positions start regression has been adjusted as well. This means that high-caliber players have a better chance of extending their careers and climbing their way up the legacy leaderboard. And then we have something called dynamic dev trait. A player's development trait determines how much XP they earn from training and games. We've updated them this year to be normal, quick, star, and superstar. It's now much harder to be a superstar than in years past. There are only a few superstars per position, which makes them difficult to get, but traits change more frequently. At the end of each season, each player is evaluated on how well they did compared to the rest of the league. Their performance will result in their development trait going up, down, or staying the same. Superstars need to perform at a consistently high level and be statistical leaders in order to hold on to their precious superstar trait. Further, we have made rookie superstars extremely rare as a part of our generated classes. They are the ultimate reward of the scouting and draft process. So that's pretty much it for all of the new things added to franchise mode. I would say that some of the things that are still missing that are important are, contract negotiations. They need to definitely tune and update that system, make it a little more difficult. Still no Pro Bowl. I know that there's a big issue with why they can't do that right now, but it's getting to the point where it's something they need to add, and, people are really missing that. Player unique personalities that affect how they play on the field or expect maybe how they're able to be upgraded on and off the field. I think that's something that needs to happen. There's some players in the league that are definitely, more of a problem than others, and that should definitely affect how they're able to play or, how they're able to be upgraded. So those are just a few things off the top of my head that I would like to see. But what do you think? Are you excited for franchise and CFM? Do you think these are good updates? Do you think they're not enough updates? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, I will see you guys next time.